Island Nida Swarms is terrifying. But I guess, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the only way to spread creep is with your hatcheries, or technically with sunken colonies as well. So like there was so much setup required. Like there's still so much to talk about when it came to that last game. Like it was so fascinating. There was just so much to talk about. And in that last game, again, as a reminder, like Dark, he started with a proxy hatchery to spread creep to allow himself to actually even make any Nida Swarms as well. Like there was just so much setup for that. Regardless, we're jumping in. We're jumping into our fresh best of 5 and spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Whispers of Gold. We have the blue Zerg player from South Korea representing Team Hyper 1. It is 3Point. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Protoss player, the brutal Protoss from South Korea representing Twisted Minds. It is Classic. What if you can join your own drones across the river for a proxy? That is something to bear in mind, is specifically for that map, for Neo Isles of Sirens. The area, or I should say the dead space between islands is very thin. It's very thin, right? It's a very thin river, so you can like attack from side to side, and the ability to yoink a unit over that kind of cliff face, over that river, maybe. I'm not too sure. Not too certain of that. But it is much more narrow than on other maps. As for now, hatch gas pool. Standard opener out of 3Point going for the hatch gas pool. Likewise, Classic going for a gate expand back at home. Whew, we can calm things down. We can settle into a fresh series here and into some standard openers. Let's go. Let us go. The yoink expand. Let's go. That'd be amazing. That'd be beautiful. Totally worth it. Oh my god. I believe, Bobby, I believe. As we are going to be settling in, Classic going to be opening up Zealot first. Lings are fanning out. Oh my god, we're going for an all-in. Also, my apologies. I assumed it was going to be hatch gas pool, but it was not. I believe it was gas first. So my apologies. It was gas pool into a hatchery, so a late expansion. Checking the vision of Classic. He does know, I believe. Yeah, he perp scouted. Yeah, he knows. That's why he's making his Zealot first. So Classic, he knows that aggression is coming his way. We know there's going to be a Bane Bust. So 3Point is going for an all-in. He's going for the Bane Bust. Classic is still a little bit in the dark as to how aggressive this is going to be. He does have a Zealot first, but he does need a defensive setup. He needs to fully wall off. He needs either cannons or more Dragoons. Classic is going to be in some trouble here. Scouting probe goes down, and Lings are amassing. As we said, Lintus, a big shout to Quinton. Happy God. Thank you so much for resubscribing for 6 months, for half a year. Thank you. Thank you so much for the support. We do appreciate it. Gracias, papi, gracias. As we are settling in, shield batteries being thrown down, cannon thrown down as well. Only one pylon. Bear that in mind. We'll see if the Artosis pylon comes into play, if that is the bane of the defense here of Classic. Bailings are morphing in, and one way or another, the game is about to end. Either 3Point kills Classic or he dies trying. As 3Point is completely all in. And here we go, the Bailings to do waddle forward. 4 Bailings here. Is that enough to kill a Zealot? Oh, not quite. Yeah, 6 Bailings. They knock down the Zealot. They break through the wall. Yeah, they do bust on through. They're going for the cannon. Cannon under fire. Cannon goes down. The boys are being pulled. There's still that one Dragoon. We don't want to waste a Bailing. Bailing does waddle in. And what's the production looking like? Reaver is on the way, just the one gateway on the low ground, and we dive into the main. We dive for the main. We see Artosis, but no! Another Artosis pylon! Everything is powered up here. The robot's going to be depowered. And Classic, he has nothing left. He's down to 1 Dragoon. 1 Dragoon remaining. Bailing! It crashes in, does a bit of splash damage. Dragoon goes down. So do the probes, and that's going to be game. GG gets called. 3Point takes the lead. GG. Oh my god. 3Point does take a lead in the series. He was able to catch Classic with his pants down. Now, if you remember, winding it back a little bit here, Classic did scout. He did scout the early gas. He scouted the late hatchery. So he should have known that something was wrong. Either a Bane Bust or a Roach all-in. One or the other. I could definitely see arguments for either one based on the limited information that Classic had. His response going for the Reaver felt like a greedy response, just because it takes so long to get into Reaver production, because you have to go for the Robo, into the bay, into your Reavers, as opposed to additional gateway production there, because you only had the one gateway. So again, it was just later tech there for Classic, maybe some overconfidence from Classic as well. Again, part of that could also be because of his inexperience when it comes to how much or how little he needs to defend against something like a Bane Bust. Hard to say. Hard to say. Regardless, GG well played. 3-point takes a lead. 3-point does take a lead, and now we're getting into game number 2. Here we go. As spawning in the top right-hand corner of ley lines, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the now Brood War Zerg player, representing Team Hyper 1, leading the series 1-0. It is... Oh my god, he's going for a 12 pool. He's 12 pooling. It's going to be a short series. It is 3-point. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Twisted Minds. Down in the series, we'll see if he can survive the aggression of his opponent. It is Classic. I see someone asking in the chat, send you in the chat, Hyper 1, he did not make the mod, but Hyper 1 is a very dedicated community member. Hyper 1, for the most part, does or is in charge of porting over maps, so he is a map maker, and he has ported over many maps from Brood War into SC2. Not just that, but Hyper 1 also is the person behind running and organizing a bunch of these tournaments, whether it's the StarCraft Evolution League bi-weekly tournaments, or even this full championship. So a big shout to Hyper 1. Without Hyper 1, SEL would be worse off. I mean, it wouldn't be possible. So big shout to Hyper 1. When it comes to people that do work a little bit harder, or they work on the mod itself, we actually have had Kuprulu Cat drop by from time to time, and I believe Kuprulu Cat is the art director, I want to say, the art director of SEL, and there's a whole team. There's a whole team behind it. Speaking of, as we're going for the 12 pool hatchery across the map, if you want to help support StarCraft Evolution, exclamation mark, SEL? No, SCE. Bam, there is a link to the Patreon. There's a Patreon for StarCraft Evolution in the chat to help support Team Kuprulu in their endeavors to fund and update and work on the mod. So big shout to Team Kuprulu. As Lings have arrived, they're knocking down the front door. Knocking down the front door, going for the gateway. Gateway's under fire. Backup drone has arrived. For the spine rush, for the colony rush even. Yeah, the drones are here. They're here to throw down those colonies to get those spine calls or those sunken colonies up and running. With the surround, Classy gets surrounded. One zealot goes down, massive pickoff. One zealot left, and here come those colonies. Oh, they do block each other for a moment. Shield battery is done. Shield battery does barely finish up. Zealot going for the Lings once again. Good service area on that zealot though. And the colonies are on the way. The shield battery is running out of engine. It looks like 3-point might just have too much. The adept has arrived. True. The surround! Miscontrol at a Classic. He does. He gets dragged out of the wall. Out of position. Lings, they flood in. They get a surround on the adept. And it looks like 3-point has done it. He has broken the natural. And sure, there's some pylons, there's some side defense, there's a stalker on the way, but it looks like with the completion of these sunken colonies, 3-point has done it. And pylons are falling one after the other. Stalker has arrived, the boys are here. And Classic, he wanted a series out of this, but he's not going to get it. He's not going to get it. He wanted a macro game, I should say. No, not with 3-point. He's an animal. Is an animal here as he's came to the production, depowers all the gateways. There's nothing in the main. There's one stalker and some probes. And 3-point, he will collapse it on everything. Up. Boys are being pulled. Nice control at a Classic. Does save the stalker for a little bit longer, but this is game-ending damage. GG gets called, and 3-point will take a 2-0 lead. GG. GG, well played. Oh my god. GG, well played. 3point does take a 2-0 lead here. Again, 3point, he is known for being very cheesy, very aggressive, especially when it comes to playing against some of these bigger names like Classic. And after the first 2 games, I would not be surprised if we see some more aggression here in Game 3. Doesn't have to be a 12 pull, doesn't have to be a 13-12 or something like that. It could just be a 2-ace roach all in. There are options here for 3point. But I'll be honest, I wanted a little bit more out of these 2 players. I wanted more out of Classic and 3point. I wanted the mid game. I feel deprived. I feel no. I'm what's the word I'm looking for? I'm craving some mid game PvZ, but I don't know if I'm gonna get it here between these 2 players. As up next we have Troy, a 4-player spawn map. Oh boy. Now, I don't want to get my hopes up. On the one hand, Troy, it's a large map, 4-player spawn, could lead into the mid-game, true. On the other hand, do you remember Shin versus Dark on Citadel? I also thought the same thing, and then Shin went for a 13-12. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see, Pappy. Here we go, as we're getting into that Game 3, potentially the final game of the series. I hope not. I do hope that we're able to embrace the series a little bit more and get a Game 4, get a Game 5. I would love that, but alas, the pressure is on Classic. Pressure is on. And here we go, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Troy, we have the SE2 Zerg player. Oh, we have the SE2 Zerg representing Team Hyper 1, leading the series 2-0. 1 game away from advancing on to the semifinals. It is 3point. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the red Protoss player, the Brutal Protoss representing Twisted Minds from South Korea. It is Classic. And welcome one and all to Troy. Welcome to a 4-player spawn map. You can spawn in at every corner, top right, top left, bottom right, and bottom left as well. And we have spawned in diagonally. We have diagonal spawns here, cross spawns from Classic and 3point. This should now lead into a longer game, and 3point doesn't gamble. He doesn't gamble. He could have tried to go for an early pool and early gas, and he could try to like roll the dice when it comes to scouting his opponent and hoping that Classic would be like at the horizontal spawn or the vertical spawn. So he could have gambled, but he didn't. Opted not to gamble. Instead, hatch gas pool, standard opener. Standard opener out of 3point. Ooh, never mind. Going hatch pool into delayed gas. Yeah, delayed gas here from 3point. Interesting. Classic, he probe scouts horizontally. Will check, confirms that 3point is nowhere to be found. Classic is still on the hunt. Still looking for his opponent. Likewise, 3point, he sends out his overlords, checks bottom right, checks top left. And Classic will be the first to confirm. There we go, he gets eyes on the hatchery. Oh, that's a 2-gate opener. Okay, 2-gate opener out of Classic. So Classic actually is the one to gamble a little bit here. We have seen this build before. We saw this in the group stage. Classic is opening up 2-gate into Mass Zealot, into Dragoon follow-up. A very aggressive build here by Classic. Basically what has happened is that Classic has delayed his expansion. He delayed his natural in favor of a second gateway and in favor of these early gateway units. So Classic is rallying across the map, and his goal here is to break 3point. So Classic is going to be the aggressor, even going for a Robo on 1 base. Oh my god. Robo before expansion. This could just be a 1 base all-in. This could just be a 1 base all-in at a Classic, but it's diagonal spawn. Like, this is going to be really rough to actually make work just because it takes so long to reinforce. Now, the plus side, 3point doesn't know. Typically, the Overlord will be here. The Overlord will be over this expansion and will be scouting and giving 3point all the information he needs, but 3point has 0 information. 3point has no idea. Zealots have arrived. Gas now being taken. Queen under fire. Spine Cooler on the way. 2, 3 Zealots have arrived. They're going for the Queen. Second Queen has made it, though. Up. First Queen so close to going down. So far, good trades here with the Zealots. And they will hunt it down in the end. Yeah, it will fall. Oh, God! Bit of miscontrol. Queen slips away. What a mess! One more shot. He gets the Queen. Queen goes down. The Zelts are going to be cleaned up. He gets 3 drone kills on the Queen. Not a bad trade. Behind this, Classic is expanding. But remember, this is an expand after Robo. It's going to be a Reaver drop. So early gateway harass into a Reaver drop here from Classic. So again, very aggressive build here from Classic. Hyper aggression. We'll see if it pays off. 3-point, still trying to scout. Still trying to figure out what the hell's happening. Overlord now coming in. Does confirm there is an expansion. Does confirm it's a late expansion as well. So 3-point should know that there's tech. He should know that there's something behind this, either a Stargate, a Robo, a Citadel even, for charge. There must be something here. Now the scout is going to be denied as the Overlord is forced back. Likewise, 3-point did not reposition this second Overlord. So 3-point, for now he's just droning, getting into link speed for the first time. Remember, he did delay his gas for quite some time as well. As Classic is moving out with that drop. And here we go. The Reaver does move out. And again, 3-point up. He scouts. Big moment here for 3-point. He does get eyes on the shuttle. He knows. He knows what's going on. Back at home, the Queens are repositioning. The Lynx as well. He's ready. He's getting ready for it. Now, knowing is half the battle. Bearing in mind that the Reaver is very different to the Disruptor because the Reaver shot goes off immediately. That's why the Lynx pull back and the Queens move forward. Queens, they can tank a Reaver shot. As Classic, he's trying to find a way in. Oh, bit of miscontrol. Miscontrol at a 3-point. Classic gets in. Does get in. Oh, the Lynx! Massive connection. Massive connection here on the Lynx. Going for the mineral line as well. Shuttle taking some damage. Oh, shot goes off on the Queen. Shuttle getting low. Takes a lot of hits. But looks like the shuttle should escape. Oh my god. Playing very, very close to the sun here. Flying close to the sun even. Gets a Queen. And gets out. Whew. Oh my god. Very tense play here between our players. Oh no, the shuttle! Get out of here! Mike, it's so low. He's playing with fire. Get out of here, Pat. Oh my god. He gets away. One more. 11 HP. Barely gets away. Saves the Reaver in the end. Bobby, calm down. Este Classic. And behind this, getting into Dragoons. Dragoon production's on the way. Getting into Dragoons, Dragoon range, additional Reavers. He's pushing. Pushing right down mid. Moving through the center. Why the simulators? As people are mentioning, once these simulators get broken, they turn into rocks. They turn into undestructible rocks as well. The rocks cannot be broken once again. They completely wall this area off, and I recommend watching the VODs of the group stage, watching specifically Kiwian. Kiwian was an animal here. He was able to go for mass drop play, pull his opponent apart, and destroy these locations, and just completely cut off base from base. It was crazy to see Kiwian on this map. But now the Classic is pushing forward. Ooh, the Lings, they take a lot of hits. A lot of Lings go down. And 3-point is up against the wall. Reaver shots here on the Spine Crawlers. And there's actually not much to defend here for 3-point. He's trying to hold on with Link Queen. Is Link Queen into Muta? No shot. He's trying to rush into Mutas. The Queen's taking a lot of scarab hits. Oh no! They bunch up! They do bunch up. So many Links going to be going down. Brutal shots going off. And 3-point will lose everything. He'll lose every single Ling, every single Queen. The splash damage was insane. Wasting some Reaver shots here on the hatchery. I don't think that's the best use of them. The Scarab shots even. There we go. Spine Crawlers are going down. Again, you do have to babysit those Reavers. Otherwise, they will just attack the closest thing, including buildings. And there we go. They're making their way into the main. The natural has been broken. 13 Mutas on the way. Reaver shot goes off. The Reavers they're so slow. Oh wait, the eggs! Oh my god, I didn't even realize they destroyed the eggs. That's crazy. They annihilate the eggs here. They deny most of the Mutas. That was insane. That's something I'm not used to seeing, to be honest. Like, usually it takes so much effort to destroy them. At last, the Dragoons have arrived. Mutas have made it, but Dragoons are going to be able to shut them down as well. Yeah, the Mutas, they cannot hold their own. Lair goes down, GG gets called, and Classic takes game number 3, fighting back in this series. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Oh my god, it shocked me a little bit. I was a little bit in awe. I haven't seen Reaver harass or Reaver attacks quite get on top of the production like that and quite get on top of those morphing in eggs. But yeah, the mutas were completely denied. At least half of them were. The other half did pop out, but again, Classic was just rallying across the map. As we saw, Reavers do require some attention when it comes to their control. If they're left on A move, they will just waste Scarab shots on buildings, and we saw a lot of wasted shots there by Classic, but that is something that I'm sure you just have to get used to when it comes to Reaver control, when it comes to just making sure you're as efficient as possible with them to focus down like spine crawlers, for example, and focus down queens and focus the army, of course, as well. Regardless, that was still too much for threepoint to deal with, and he was overwhelmed. But again, a big reason for this is because threepoint was lacking critical scouting information. I did mention that the initial Overlord scouts were late. On top of that, he never repositioned his second Overlord to scout the main base either. So yeah, just not necessarily the most amount of knowledge there, or just vision from threepoint to defend. And again, his answer to the Reaver problem was to go into mutas, which was very bold move. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to survive long enough to get into muta play. Wasn't able to get there, was just a little bit too greedy, cutting too many corners, trying to rush into those mutas. It's not quite the same kind of it's not really the same dynamic against Disruptor. I do want to mention this for a moment here. So usually a muta response works a little bit better against Disruptor drops because Disruptors, their attack rate is so much lower. It's such a low attack rate. Not just that, but it takes a while for a Nova to recharge. It also takes a while for the Nova to hit, because it goes off, it travels, and then it detonates, and you have time to split and time to react. So the dynamic there is just very different. A Disruptor-based push takes a lot longer to keep going. Reavers, though, they don't care. Like, once they load up their Scarabs, mate, they shoot so fast and so quickly, and so often you have that much less time to react and respond as a Zerg player. So it might also be possible that that threepoint is, again, a little bit less experienced when it comes to that situation and that scenario, just because like that kind of Reaver push hits so hard. It hits so hard and so much faster compared to something like Disruptors, like in SE2. I think this is why, if you remember, we spoke previously about how comparing the Reaver to the Disruptor, it's a little bit disingenuous because the Reaver shares so many qualities with the Immortal. Like it's like a cross between the Immortal and the Disruptor, right? Like there's elements of both that kind of get implemented into the Reaver. So yeah, I feel like that's another example of why that comes to pass. But with that, we're getting into our next game. Here we go. Oh yeah, Hyper One, watch yourself. Otherwise, we'll time out any spoilers in the chat. I mean, to all those that have maybe watched this previously. But here we go. We're getting into game 4. It's gonna be on Sylphid. Here we go. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Sylphid, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Team Hyper One, leading the series and still one game away from making it here into the semifinals. Can he close it out? It is 3-point. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the SE2 Protoss, representing Twisted Minds, fighting back, putting a point on the board for the first time. Can he force the ace match? It is a classic. And as we settle into this, a big shout out to Comrade in the chat. Babiga, thank you so much, Comrade, for subscribing for 4 months in a row. Thank you, Papi, thank you. Quack, Papi, quack. Hope you enjoy the content, hope you enjoy the casting, hope you enjoy the StarCraft evolution, as we are here to determine who makes it into the semifinals, as we are covering the quarterfinals here of SEL Fall Championship. Also, hello once again. I see Kat in the chat, Setsuna, of course, jumping in, Jeff Bezos, Senjo. Bienvenidos. Hope you've all been enjoying yourselves, as we are going to be settling into Sylphid. And 3point is going gas first. So once again, aggressive build. It's going to be gas into pool into a delayed hatchery for 3point. Overlord Scouts will eventually confirm what's going on. Now, thankfully for 3point, his first Overlord gets sent horizontally. This is a 3-player spawn map, so you can spawn in either in the top center or one of the corners of the map instead, and 3point is fortunate to immediately scout his opponent. Likewise, Classic as well. Classic does scout. Classic, he sees how fast the link speed is being researched, and how quickly the gases were taken. So fast link speed into a link flood on the way from 3point, Classic knows. Classic, he has the information he needs, and back at home he should be walling up. We need shield batteries. Shield batteries, overcharge, sentry potentially as well for the force field, true. It's going to be on Classic here to try to hold and try and survive. Now 3point is throwing down 2 hatcheries, which is spotted by Classic. Classic is aware. Lings are moving out. More lings on the way. Ling speed is halfway done. Here we go. I'm curious if at any point 3point decides to draw. See if he does so at any point. Okay, can you time me out? Okay, I'll do it. It might strip away your badge though. But yes, Kuro is in bed at the moment. No. Dedge. As Lings, they do catch the Adept. Oh no! Adept does shade onto the map. Bit of a bold move here by Classic. Link speed is kicking in, which means we should get us around. And the Adept should fall. Yeah, massive pick off. Adept does fall. Behind this 3point, he is droning. He's droning up. He is expanding. He is saturating. 3point is not all in. And this isn't really too much of a reaction here. I mean, Classic does throw down the second gateway. That is a second gateway, and he does fully wall off. But Classic, he doesn't overreact. No, doesn't get a wall of shield batteries or anything like that. Stargate into Oracle. Classic looking very comfortable here. So no overreaction, and as a result, I do favor Classic in this position. 3point rushing into +1 melee, droning up, investing into spore crawlers, or spore colonies, spores. And we'll see if 3point can keep up with Classic, as finally, for the first time, Classic, he can embrace the mid-game. As this looks to be a more economic opener out of Classic. Here we go. As the Oracle does rotate between the bases, does get 2 drones so far. Oh my god! It does get 2 workers. Now, as you can see, the spores here available to the Brood War Zerg are much more powerful. They hit a lot harder. They hit like a truck. But the downside, you can't move them, right? You cannot uproot them. You cannot reburrow them. You cannot rotate them. So they are stationary defensive units here. That is the downside of that spore colony. As you can see, 2 spores per base. 2 spores per expansion. Behind this, double Oracle. It is going to be Hydra Tech here at a 3point. No surprise there. It should be Ling into Hydra into Lurker from the Zerg. And likewise, Classic is taking up on 2 bases. Oh boy. Very aggressive. He doesn't take a third. He's going to be taking up, going for a Twilight Council into charge. Into potentially Immortal Production as well. So it looks to be 2-base play out of Classic. Stasis Trap into the main. Ooh. Stasis Trap into that. No reaction! No! No reaction here. Massive stasis goes off. Half the middle line gets caught out. Ay, ay, ay. 3point is getting pulled apart. Stasis are going up. And, yeah, 3point just having a harder time getting into the mid-game here. Investing into Hydra speed. And Classic should be looking to expand eventually, but I'm curious if he doubles down on 2 bases. Prism is on the way. Would be Archons as well. Oh my god. Yeah, Classic is pushing. Another stasis. Whew. Okay, 3-point does pull away in time. Oh no! Delayed stasis traps. 3-point. Does he notice? He doesn't. Oh my god. Not like this. The stasis, they pop up. Adept a shade into the natural. Now, thankfully, I mean, there's barely anything to kill here, so the Adept won't really get that much done. 3-point will defend. But the layered stasis traps are brutal, and I want to bear this in mind as well, that we have yet to expand. It looks like Classic is in position to take a third, but he does have his Warp Prism to reinforce with Archons and with charge lots. As Archons are morphing in, more charge lots as well. Classic has chosen not to expand. Oh, the stasis, they keep going. Okay, this time only one. This time only one drone. And there we go, we do have an Archon drop into the main. As Archons are morphing in. Does Classic throw down the Nexus? Or does he warp in? Up. We have the answer. Nexus. Is going to be third expansion here for Classic. Pushing into the main. Stasis traps here at the natural base. 3-point, he's distracted. No! 3-point, he is distracted. Massive stasis goes off once again. Only catching a portion of the mineral line this time, thankfully. Warp in is denied. Classic gets the hell out of there. Prism takes a lot of hits. But what most concerns me here is, do we have a lair? No. No lair. Only hatch tech. What does this mean? No lurkers. Ling Hydra is all that 3-point has. No lurker tech whatsoever, so a ground-based army like this can do quite well. Imagine if 3-point had a line of lurkers, even not that many, like 3, 4, 5 lurkers, and I do favor him in a head-on fight. But stuck with purely Ling Hydra, that I'm less convinced by. I'm less convinced by. He does go for the expansion. Tries to dive in. Archon shots going off. Decent round on some of those zealots, but the Lings, oh, they get annihilated by the Archons. Lings go down, and 3-point, he's being chased down. He's on the run. Let's get the hell out of here. At the same time, Archon jumping to the main. Prism still surviving. Oh, taking a lot of hits. Does back up. Likewise, Classic, he pulls back. He's just consolidating his army, just building up reinforcements before he does push, and Classic takes the supply lead. Does take lead in supply, once again chasing down more of these Hydras, and once again, without lurkers, I don't see 3-point holding. But what is second best to lurkers? A line of spine crawlers. Sunken Colonies on the way. I mean, the budget lurkers, let's go. It'll help, it'll help. At least defensively, not offensively though. There we go, Sunken Colonies, they do finish up. They do finish up here, so 3-point he can defend. But again, if he fights out of range, then I do favor Classic. So 3-point has to be so careful with his engagement. As he's going to be pulling back, cutting back to the Sunken Colonies. Classic, he respects it, he backs up. Does back up. Revelation catching the main army, warp in into the main. 3-point taking more expansions. Finally, the lair is on the way, but it's such a late lair. 9-minute lair here from 3-point. It's so delayed. Zealots, they charge in. They get on top of the Hydras. It's going to be 3-4 Hydras going down. Oh. Okay, so far, good defense here by 3-point. Meanwhile, Classic, he rotates around. And, I mean, this makes sense. Once again, the Spine Crawlers or the Sunken Colonies, they are stationary. And these fringe bases are exposed. So, Classic rotates, looking for another fresh mining base. Zella warp into the main. Hydras are exposed. Oof. Expensive losses here for 3-points. Hydras are going down. So will the top expansion. And Classic is just pulling 3-point apart. He just cannot keep up here. No, with only Hydra. There we go. Lurker tech is being researched, but again, it's still on the way. We needed this minutes ago. Without it, 3-point is getting bullied back. Aye, aye, aye. There we go. Does set up more Sunken Colonies. He's defending here on 3 bases. At this point, Classic can take a 4th. He can take a 4th. Storm is on the way as well. Storm is almost done. Classic with a 70, almost a 70 supply advantage. And yeah, this is just a rough position for 3-point. I mean, the opener didn't quite do enough damage. The follow-up with the stasis traps was brutal as well. 3-point has been stumbling his way into the mid-game. His lair was heavily delayed. Remember, this was a 9-minute lair from 3-point. Which is why things are looking so dire here. Which is why Classic is almost at 200 supply. He's almost maxed out. That's terrifying. A maxed out Protoss army against threepoint, who's at, what, down 70? Almost, maybe potentially even 80 supply here. Depending on when Classic maxes out. Ay, ay, ay. It is going to be brutal. Lurkers are morphing in. Is there any detection? There is. There's 2 observers with the main army, and Revelation available as well. Fleet Beacon, Sky Toss on the way for Classic. Ay, ay, ay. Doesn't need, I don't think he even needs it, but sure. Why not? Just a much more secure way to play this out. Technically, Classic doesn't have to break his opponent. Classic is getting a 4th, and his win condition just deny the 4th base. Deny the 4th base of 3 when he does outposition, though. Massive storm going off on the ramp, on the bridge. Oof. Oh my god. Storms are brutal. 1 lurker goes down. GG gets called, and Classic will tie up the series 2-2. We are going to the ace match. Whew. GG. Oh my god. We are going to the ace match here. Again, the aggression of threepoint didn't quite pay off this time. And again, threepoint, he was very committed as well. As a reminder, I mean, it did seem like threepoint did not really intend for the game to enter the mid-game. That is why threepoint never took a lair, at least for the majority of that game. It was such a late lair because I'm pretty sure he just expected the game, or was hoping for the game to end a little bit sooner than that with Ling Hydra. Alas, he got outscaled and was overwhelmed. And with that, we're getting into the ace match. Oh boy, does Classic pull off the reverse sweep, or will threepoint bring it back here and make it to those semifinals? What's it going to be? As a reminder, Dark is waiting for the winner of this series. I say waiting, he's going to be going up against the winner of this series in tomorrow's broadcast. And here we go, the ace match is going to be on Citadel. Let's go. Here we go. As we do get into the ace match here, and spawning in the top right hand corner of Citadel, we have the SC2 Zerg player. Okay, picking StarCraft 2 here. The blue Zerg representing Team Hyper 1 from South Korea. It is threepoint. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Brood War Protoss player, the red Protoss representing Twisted Minds. It is Classic. Go. Are Immortals there to combat sunken colonies? I mean, in general, Immortals are a good supportive unit, especially against, I would say, Lurker Hydra, Brood War Lurker Hydra. Something that we should emphasize as well, which didn't really come into play in that last game, but the Brood War Hydras are not light units, they're regular units. So again, like, you know, the units like Immortals and that, they can be quite useful supportively. Likewise, against Lurkers as well, they can be quite useful as well, just because they can tank a lot of shots thanks to their shields. They're a great way to kind of bust a Lurker line. We see that in SC2. In SC2 ZVP, currently, this is also why the Immortal is being nerfed. If you've taken note of the patch notes in the PTR, the Immortal is being nerfed currently because you don't really need to take it to Sky Toss. Currently, you can commit to Immortal Archon against a line of Lurkers, and you can still break through it anyway, and just snowball out of control. If I remember correctly, the proposed change, is it an attack rate change? No. I think it is. I think it is an attack rate change. So the Immortal is going to hit a little bit slower than previously on the PTR. I'd have to double check though, but that is the primary reason why the Immortal is being nerfed in the upcoming patch. But now though, we are settling in. We are settling in so far. Hatch gas pool. Okay. Standard opener. Standard opener at a 3-point for the first time, I think. For the first time this entire series, 3-point opening up hatch gas pool. Okay, let's go. Meanwhile, Classic going for a gate expand. We do spot the Overlord. Overlord does get eyes on the spawn location of Classic. Likewise, Classic Probe Scouts also confirms 3-point as well. And yes, as is being said in the chat, minus 10% attack speed. Yeah. Is to address that. But he Here we go. I thought it was a wall. For those that are curious, here, this is not a wall, but these are ramps. Think of this like an alternate kind of visual for tall grass. Imagine here tall shrubbery or tall grass, basically minimizing vision onto the other side of this this graphic. Now, what is most unique about this map is I don't believe there has ever been a map in SE2 that has tall grass in between the natural and the main. So there is a ramp, there is, I should say, like a hill, a speed bump in between the natural and the main base. This does also actually come into play and factor in when it comes to defending against cheese and defending against all-ins. This means that your main base is not as defendable as it otherwise would be with a regular ramp, because you don't have the high ground advantage. Arguably, your opponent has the high ground advantage against you. Like, if your opponent is here, like, on top of this little ramp, then, I mean, what are you going to do? like, we've seen that before in the group stage. We've seen some players struggle to defend here against cheese. I think that was in Group C. Maybe Group D. Oh, there's a cannon. Oh, let's go. Send it back. As we do see, Classic, he is going to be opening up with a Reaver drop. Going to be Reaver drop here from Classic. Likewise, 3-point, just hatch gas pool into a third base. He's happily droning. So 3-point is droning up, amassing queens. It's going to be on 3-point to defend against the eventual aggression of Classic. Is SE2 generally the heavy favorites? I would not say so. As Kat is saying in the chat, we've seen players previously roll their opponents while playing as SE1 races. Yes, we have seen players excel with StarCraft 1 race instead of SE2. I think an example of that as well is Euthermal. If you remember Euthermal, I think he solely played Brood War Terran against his opponents. I think, if I remember correctly, Euthermal played only Brood War against Dark and did beat him. Did defeat Dark. But yeah, that's also why it's important to bear in mind as well. I think some people might have the mentality that it's like, oh, it's like a carbon copy of Brood War up against SC2, so because of that, it's not balanced. But this game mode is actively balanced to make sure that it is competitive between Brood War and SC2. Oh my god! As did you see those scout shots going off on the Lings? Oh, Shuttle taking a lot of damage. A lot of Lings gonna be going down, but oh, the Reaver! Reaver survives. Reaver gets out. Reaver does get out. So far, good trades here by Classic. But again, just to reiterate, the game is being actively patched, actively updated, actively worked upon to make sure that, again, all the races are as competitive as possible with each other. Otherwise, if it was like a carbon copy of Brood War against SE2, then it would be a lot more unbalanced, if you will. And there'd be other heavier favorites. We do have those Reaver shots going up. Loling's going down, and behind this 3-point, going to be investing into Roach production. So it's going to be Ling, Roach, Ravager here at a 3-point, but the army has arrived. Classic does lead the charge, catching out queens. One queen goes down. Oh my god, the Lings, they get annihilated. I get the splash damage from the Reavers are brutal. Lings do fall, but the Roaches, they're building up over time, and the shuttle is so low as well. Oh my god. Shots going off for the Roaches. No Ravagers yet. More Lings are amassing. And this is all going to come down to the Reaver control. Without these Reavers, the Dragoons are going to get surrounded. Queen goes down. Lings, they come in for the surround. Reaver shots are wasted on the Queen. And the Lings, they trade well. They out-trade the Dragoons. Yeah, big surrounds here. Dragoons are falling. And 3-point is holding. 3-point is holding on. Forces the army back. Catching reinforcements. Miss Rally here at a Classic. Oh my god. The Reaver shots are crazy. So he has to juggle 3 of them. One Reaver finally goes down. Nice pickoff. Second Reaver falls as well. As a reminder, it is, I should say, a little more difficult to actually control Reaver shuttle micro here, just because of the pickup range is smaller than a Warp Prism. And Classic has lost a little bit of momentum. Yeah, he's lost a little bit, far too much momentum here. Reaver count was reset. Lings are trading well. Oof. And 3-point is shutting this down. He does hold, takes down the Reavers, takes down most of the Dragoons as well. Is he overextending though? Oh my god. Reaver says, oh no, Reaver goes down. Another Reaver falls. And as 3-point starter says forward, Classic he plummets in supply. As we mentioned before, it does feel like when it comes to Reaver control, you have to be that much more attentive with it. You don't want to waste your shots at the wrong moment. As Classic regains control of the map, forcing back 3-point. Ravagers are morphing in. So far, nice value here with the Reavers once again. Oh my god. Reaver shot gets dragged into the army. Oh, the Ravagers are going down. Again, just the value here. Crazy. The value path. As Classic attempts to expand, but he's going to be denied. Lings have arrived, catching reinforcements. Alas, Classic is keeping up. He turns around. Classic turns back around. Again, trading very efficiently here against the Roach Ravager. So many Roaches and Ravagers going down almost for free. And the third base survives. The Nexus does survive. Classic still rallies across the map. The aggression does not end. And has 3-point lost too many Roaches and Ravagers? I think he has. I want to say over the course of the past minutes, he's lost like, what, like 15 Roaches and Ravagers? It's been crazy. The value of these Reavers. Boys are being pulled. Reaver shots go up. And Classic, he's done it. He overwhelms. There's nothing left. GG gets called as Classic. He will take the series 3-2, advancing on to the semi-finals. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. When it came to the engagements, when it came to the fights, it did look like 3-point. He was holding his own. He was barely holding on. He was able to fight back. He was able to waste some Reaver shots here and there on like some soul units, whether it's Lings or Roaches or Ravagers. But when we saw things calm down a little bit, and when we saw that Classic was able to just focus his attention on his Reaver harass, we saw him just snowball out of control there. Not enough Queens to help try to zone away the shuttle. No anti-air. There was nothing to stop Classic from just having his way with an army of Roach Ravager. Give Classic 2 Reavers and a shuttle. He'll kill like 50 supply of Roaches. it's crazy. GG. GG, well played. Classic, he will take it in the end. My condolences to 3-point. 3-point, he had a really strong start. Really strong start to the series with a 2-0 lead, but 3-point was cheesing every game. He was cheesing every game, and eventually Classic was able to get a better handle on things. We eventually got into larger maps with greater spawn locations. 3-point had to embrace the mid-game instead, and that is where Classic thrived. That is where he did thrive multiple times, even with the Brood War race as well. Again, showing that, yeah, Classic does have not just prowess with SE2, but with Brood War as well. GG. GG, well played. Classic does take it. Congratulations. And with that, let's catch up on the bracket itself. Let us catch up on the bracket. Here we go. As we switch our scenes over and have a look at what's going on. I also do recommend tuning into the VODs because the first series was wild. I mean, the first series was peak StarCraft. Dark versus Shin went all the way to game 4. Dark did take it in the end at 3-1. And again, I do recommend the VODs. We had some very unique interactions and very interesting dynamics between Dark and Shin. Again, it did feel like a lot of it also came down to some of our players having some inexperience or limited experience in certain situations and certain scenarios. It was just such a unique ZVZ. So I do recommend the VODs. It was amazing. With that, Dark does take it, and he will be facing off against Classic in the semifinals. GG. GG, well played. Classic takes down 3-point 3-2. Again, 3-point, he was hyper aggressive and hyper cheesy at the start of the series, but he had to embrace some more standard openers and standard early games that allowed Classic to get into his own game state, into his own games. GG. GG, well played. With that, we have our first 2 players advancing on, and up next we have 4 more players. Up next we have 2 more matches ahead of us. We have Ubu Thermal versus Killian in a random versus Terran match, and we have Quanta versus Spirit in a TVT. Boy, here we go. Here we go. As we are going to be settling in. So we do try to catch up. Counter to Reaver shuttle. I mean, we saw that 3-point he was working towards Hydras, but the Hydras are coming out at the end of the game. So you could argue maybe late Hydra production, or you could argue that maybe 3-point he should have gone back into Queen production after losing his first Queens. If you recall, Queens were being focused down at the start of the aggression, and I don't think the Queens are being replaced. So without anti-air, without those Queens, then I mean the shuttle could just wreak havoc over the army. It was insane. Was insane. Here we go. But from here we are now gonna be getting into our next series. We're gonna be getting into Euthermal versus Kiwian. Now, before we jump into our next series, we're gonna be going on a short break. We're halfway through the broadcast. We're gonna be going on a short break. Take this time to drain your disruptors, to massage your marines, hydrate all of your hydras, tuck in your tempest, and we'll be back in 5 minutes time with our second half of the broadcast with our next 2 best of 5s. So again, enjoy this break, take some time, get ready here for Euthermal versus Kiwian after the break. See you soon. Oh, see you soon.